They wanted an accent wall right here. There are about 3.5 gallons of material per each bucket. I have one extra just in case, and there's a bottle of product and a box of mud. As far as tools, I'm going to need a hawk, a round edge pool trowel, a 6-inch knife. I like to use gloves, and then off to the side I'll have maybe some extra materials, a drill, and then of course my masking supplies. Also, so the first thing I like to do is mask off the floors. It cuts down on traffic, you know, anywhere that I'm going to be walking. I've got a nice assortment of different width. Now our area is masked. My 4-foot sort of bench ladder was the perfect tool for this. I can just reach at a 10-foot height. I've got my outlet covers taken off. This outlet cover I'm going to paint after the first coat of mud and just leave like cable cords, phone cords, I leave them where they are. And I've got the other outlet covers here ready to go, ready to be painted. And we're ready to get started. I'm going to mix up another bucket of mud today using our Fresco Harmony Castillo Cactus Dark color pack. At my mixing station, I like to have 2 buckets of water. One is for clean water, because I'm going to be adding water to the premix. One is dirty water that I put my beater in, and I clean my tools in. Now before I mix, I'm going to add water. About 3 brushfuls there. And I'm just going to stir the mud a little bit. This is so I don't burn up my drill. I like to use a clutch drill with so that I can control the speed. Mud always comes out too hard, so I always have to soften the premix. Once my premix has been softened to a nice consistency, workable consistency, I can add the pigment. And the purpose for that, mixing the mud prior to adding pigment, is so that I get good consistency with my colorant and I don't get any on the side. So I'm going to shake this really good before I put it in. I'm going to dump this in. Everything. And then I'm going to add water. This is a good way to do it with my scrub brush and my clean water. Add a little bit of water to this. Put the cap back on. Shake it again. What I want to do is get all the colorant out of this bottle into the bucket. Make sure you get all of it out there, and sometimes you can look in there and see if it's clear. Pound off my mixer, put it back in the dirty water. The main thing with the base coat is to not be scared of the mud. I've got on my hawk here about 2 scoops. I use my palette knife to scoop the mud out of the bucket, put on a couple of good scoops. And remember, I'm leaving a texture. So on the base coat, I want to hit it heavy. So part of what I'm doing right now is covering the existing texture and learning the color of the Fresco Harmony that the wall's going to be. Always use a 6-inch palette knife to cut in my corners and to go around difficult areas. Once that's done, I'm just going to put on everything that's on my hawk. Just get all this material on the wall. And now I can go into the angle and fill it all in. I'm going to put everything on my hawk and trowel on the wall. Before I go back back and get more mud. So about 2 scoops of mud is going to give me a section about this big on that particular wall. Okay, so what you're seeing here is the break line. The lines that are being left behind is the texture. Notice I'm leaving a lightning bolt sort of round edge. There's no digging, there's no chowder, there's no bumpiness. It's a nice, smooth, full cover. Now it's going to take you maybe a little bit of practice to get the hang of it. You certainly don't have to do it exactly the way I'm doing it, but essentially I'm putting the Fresco Harmony on the wall. Notice once again I'm not going all the way into the angle. I wait until I come back to clean that up, get a little bit on my trowel, and then I can pull it into the angle. Nice and pretty. I'm keeping a very consistent layer of Fresco Harmony on the wall. About a 1/16 to a 32nd of an inch. And now I go back and I smooth out my puzzle piece. I get to a lower angle. I use my 6-inch palette knife to cut in smaller square things. I can clean up around outlet boxes with it. I'm replacing the existing texture with the new base coat Fresco Harmony texture. I'm conscious to not spill a bunch of Fresco Harmony all over the floor. Not because the spill makes a mess, but because I will end up standing in it and tracking it all over the house. So if I do spill some, I just make sure and pick it up right away. Always working left to right. I'm leaving the design behind me as I move toward the right. Part of why I go counterclockwise is so that I don't get my knuckles in the wet stuff. If I'm going the opposite, then I'm going to be bumping into a wall that I finished. This wall here took about, this is not very long. It varies depending on the thickness of texture, but 20 minutes for somebody like me, maybe 30 minutes to an hour for somebody that's not familiar with this stuff. Here's our finished wall. You can see the upper portion is drying. It's going to dry much, much lighter than what it goes on, and that's why swatches are so necessary. An accent wall is a great way to practice too. Somebody that's not familiar with Fresco Harmony could do this wall in a short amount of time. If I'm doing a section involving bullnose, round corners, windows, I'm going to treat it just like a regular wall. So, being conscious of my break line, I'm not going to make a break line that goes around the window. I'm going to treat the window as if it was just a solid wall. So my break line is kind of going to be here, and it's going to be up there a little bit. I'm taking away the orange peel, or the existing texture. When I do these, I just kind of follow that 45 around with my palette knife. And then if you notice, I'm just working the section. So I lay out a section, and I'm going to work this section until I'm done. I'm not going to start applying mud somewhere else. We ended up finishing these 2 walls with exactly enough out of one bucket, and you can see here, just a teeny tiny bit in the bottom there. So roughly 250 square feet here with 1 bucket for the first coat. Nice sunny day here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And here is our base coated wall. Even for having just done the base coat on this particular wall, it's already creating a dramatic transformation. The second coat is very much like the first coat, with the exception that I'm going to be doing large puzzle pieces and taking off most of the material back off the wall. I am going to put all of the material on the wall from my hawk. It's the combination of the two coats working together, the base coat and the second coat, which create the dimension of color. And I'll just go back and make sure on this coat I have no texture. I don't want any. I want to pretty much take all of the material back off the wall and leave it flat. And I will add another scoop to it. Each time I do a puzzle piece, my mud will get hard, so I can reactivate it with fresh mud. So each puzzle piece I get a fresh if I'm doing my second coat properly, I should end up with a design that's looking kind of crazy and somewhat abstract. You can see as the mud is drying and where it's wet, you get a sense of where the puzzle pieces are. This is 4 puzzle pieces. As we begin to finish our wall, it starts to take on a very map-like appearance. And again, my brake line is completely abstract, leaving a nice finishing point here for me. Making this surface look as nice as possible. And at the same time, Fresco Harmony is a system that it's more efficient than other systems. You will not find an easier spreadable medium that is as cost effective as Fresco Harmony. I'm not burning it off really hard. All I'm doing is leaving the surface smooth. You can see this wall is drying much quicker than the base coat. When I have a small section, I like to use these plastic knives. They're really inexpensive. I can buy them almost anywhere, and they're easy to cut down if I need to get into a tight area like what I have down here. We've arrived at our 3rd and final day of the project. And this is what our dried second coat looks like. It's kind of a hardy sealer, and so what it happens is it tends to stick to my tools. So I don't like to use these tools for mudding, and I don't like to use mudding tools for the sealer. So I'll have a separate set of tools. Pretty much the same principle as the first. I always want to leave my brake line abstract, and I want to start in the upper left-hand corner. The sealer goes on really quick. A gallon of sealer will get you about 750 square feet. There are sealers with metallic. So during this process I will give the wall a metallic sheen. I'm still working that amount that I first put on my hawk. So, out of a scoopful, I can pretty much do almost half that one. I'm always just as excited as the client to see what the final product is going to look like. Now on the second wall, I just want to, anytime I have square or round corners, I just want to check them. Just the mud is still very workable, so I can go around and just with my glove or even my bare hand or very light sandpaper, I can sand it. Comes together as it should. I should have a wall that I'm very proud of. This was the existing texture, and then going into the Fresco Harmony. It's a fairly dramatic difference there. Final shot of our kitchen accent wall.